What is going on, everybody? Justin Case here with another edition of Combat Coverage Radio. Today we have a very special guest. We have Trey Ogden, who's going to be fighting at Bellator 159 this weekend. Trey, what's going on, man?
Not a lot, my man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Like I said, you're going to be fighting at Bellator 159. It's going to be your debut fight for the promotion. How excited are you to be a part of the Bellator family?
I'm excited, man. It's a good opportunity. It's a very professional.
Now, can you go into details by chance about the contract? Is it a one-fight deal? Is it a two-fight deal? Not money-wise, but can you tell us a little bit about the contract?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I believe it's just a one-time thing. Obviously, there's still a lot of future ahead of me, so that doesn't mean that that opportunity for a multiple fight contract with them won't come later down the road, but this one's just one.
So this upcoming fight against Manny is going to end up, you're really going to want to go out there and perform and really want to get another fight under the Bellator banner, right?
Yeah, I always want to perform no matter what promotion or what fight it is, obviously. But, yeah, man, I would love to fight on Bellator again. That's one of the big ones, right? That's one of the goals.
Absolutely. Trey, like I said, your fight's going to be taking place at Bellator 159. It's going to be placed on the prelims against Manny Moraes. How are your preparations going for the fight right now?
It's been good. Everything's been great. This is the quickest turnaround I think I've had. My last fight was only 7 weeks ago, and I had a week off to heal from that. And then, so a short camp, but I just came off of camp and had no injuries from the other fight. And everything feels good. Everything feels smooth. My body is the healthiest it's been in years, so I'm feeling good about that.
Now you're fighting. Sure. Now you're from St. Louis, Missouri. If I'm
Kansas
for sure.
City.
Kansas City, Missouri. So it's gonna be Kansas City. It's not a homecoming in Kansas, but what are your are you feeling a little bit nervous going into this fight? I know it's your first fight under Bellator. Are you feeling a little jitters going into the fight?
Obviously there's pre-fight nerves before every fight. Being under Bellator hasn't added any extra pressure or nerves to me. I guess that all has to do with how you talk to yourself about, the opportunities and the fights and the promotions and whatnot. But I try to always keep it focused on the fight itself. Once the cage door shuts and they say go, it doesn't really matter where in the world. You could be anywhere in the world. I guess altitude maybe might be different, but other than that, it's the same fight, So for me, I focus more on the opponent and more on my preparation than I necessarily do the promotion when it comes to that kind of thing. But I feel good. I have a little bit of nerves, but I'd be concerned if I wasn't nervous to some extent.
Now, you mentioned it was a short training camp. You fight out of Glory MMA. In this training camp, what were some of your key areas of your game that you're really working on?
With my last fight, anytime you compete, I don't know if you've competed before, but anytime you do compete, that's a huge download of information for you. I always say it's worth several weeks of training in one night. So most of what I've been working on for this camp is just adjustments I wanted to make from the last fight. Mostly things that felt good, things that didn't feel good, and just keep working down the path of what I've been working on. But just mostly making the adjustments I wanted to make that I felt from the last fight needed to be made, and I feel like they've been made pretty well. So I'm excited to go, touch base with myself and see where I'm at.
Now, have you, some fighters like to, go around, the United States and, train at other camps. Did you stick with, your camp for this fight, or did you go out and venture off into other fight camps for guidance, for assistance?
I stayed home. Glory MMA and Kansas City Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has pretty much everything I need. I don't feel like we're lacking anywhere, and my coaches know me. They know what I need to work on. It's very synergistic to stay with the same camp. So for me, I don't feel like I needed to go outside of that at all. I feel like I have everything I need here at home.
Now, are you a fan of watching film on your opponent? And if so, what have you seen on Manny Moraes?
You definitely want to get an idea, watch whatever film you can find and get an idea of maybe some danger factors they have or how they move or stuff like that, and plan accordingly. But for me, like with Manny, there's not a lot of video I could find out there on him, so I've seen a little bit. But normally what I do is I get an opponent's name. I obviously figure out what's up real quick on who they are, and go on YouTube and figure out whatever I can see, and then I'll watch some video at the beginning of the camp and just get an idea, and then I try not to like overthink it or overstudy it past that. So I watched 2 or 3 of his fights, maybe a total of 10 minutes. So in 10 minutes you see very little of a guy's arsenal. So you know I don't want to overlook anything, but based on I just I like to see. I'm not going to change too much of what I do, but I always want to be ready for everybody. So my game is, I try to make my game as tight as possible against no matter what opponent it could be. But obviously you start to get an idea of how a guy moves and figure out what tools you have that match best with him, and start to get your mind flowing on those again. Maybe stuff you haven't touched in a while you come back to or whatever. So I definitely did a little bit of that, but not too much.
Now, some fighters like to share it, some fighters don't like to share it, but what is your game plan going into your fight?
My game plan is almost always the same. I just go in there and try to finish the guy from bell to bell. However it presents itself to me, I like to let the fight unfold naturally for me. I obviously visualize certain sequences that I see may fit or that I want to have sharp in my mind, but I don't have too much of a game plan other than just, just fighting the guy and do what you need to do.
Yeah, we have a couple more questions for you, Trey, before we let you go. Now, before we let you go, Trey, what is your prediction on how your fight with Manny is going to go down?
I mean, I don't like to get into too much of, I think a lot of times people like to convince themselves of how they're going to finish a fight or how they're going to win a fight or whatever, but then you create a blind spot for yourself so that when that doesn't happen, you go back to your corner and now all of a sudden, you've created some doubt in your mind. So I try not to do that too much, but what I focus on just making sure I'm going to go in there and, show up the best of me that can show up that night, work hardest, stay out of my own way, and try to finish the guy constantly. And so my game plan is always the same in that regard, and the way I see the fight going is always just visualizing, how I want to do, not necessarily how I want the fight to unfold, if that makes sense.
And lastly, are there any shout-outs you would like to give anybody?
Obviously, my team, Glory MMA, with head coach James Krause, Kansas City Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, head coach Jason Bircher, and all the team there to keep me sharp, keep me ready. Bunch of killers in both those gyms. I got my sponsors, Title Boxing. They give me some gear. And Gateway Auto Plaza, Casey Realtors in the Northland. Support them for supporting us. And shout out to my family, my girlfriend, everybody that supports me in this crazy journey I'm on.
This Friday, July 22nd, Trey Ogden is going to be going up against Manny Moraes in a middleweight fight. You guys have watched this fight on the preliminary card on SpikeTV.com or Spike.com. Trey, thank you so much for your time, and good luck this weekend, my friend.